Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. As the world tries to recover from this disaster, this COVID-19 pandemic, and struggles with one another and with the effects of having to change their lives, which is very difficult to do for Kali Yuga conditioned souls. There's nothing as powerful that we can do to relieve this burning uncertainty than reading the Caitanya-caritämrta together. I've been reading this excerpt from Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava by Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj. Very wonderful biography of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And we came across this gem. As he stood up ending a lecture, as he stood up after ending a lecture in Munjer, an earth tremor caused mild flooding of the adjacent Ganga. The water soon receded, after which Srila Saraswati Thakur said this: in due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam, but under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after it is subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. So reading from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, Ädi-lilä, Chapter 3, describing the external reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we reached text 64, as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami beautifully describes Lord Chaitanya's appearance. In other incarnations, the Lord descended with armies and weapons. But in this incarnation, his soldiers are his plenary parts and associates. 66. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always the most worshipable deity of the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, who came in the garb of ordinary men, bearing love for him. He instructs his own pure devotional service to his devotees. Will he again be the object of my vision? Purport. This verse is Pratama Sri Chaitanyashtaka 1 from the Stavamala of Srila Rupa Goswami. 67. His plenary parts and associates perform the work of weapons in their own specific duties. Please hear from me another meaning of the word anga. 68. According to the evidence of the revealed scriptures, a bodily limb, anga, is also called a part, anksha, and a part of a limb is called a partial part, upanga. Mm, 69. O Lord of Lords, you are the seer of all creation. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. Are you not therefore my Father, Narayana? Narayana refers to one whose abode is in the water, born from Nara, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and that Narayana is your plenary portion. All your plenary portions are transcendental. They are absolute and are not creations of Maya. Purport. This text was spoken by Lord Krishna, to Lord Krishna rather, and this text was spoken to Lord Krishna by Brahma in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-14. 70. The manifestation of the Narayana who predominates in everyone's heart, as well as the Narayana who lives in the waters, Karana, Garbha, and Shira, is your plenary portion. You are therefore the original Narayana. 71. The word anga indeed refers to plenary portions. Such manifestations should never be considered products of material nature, for they are all transcendental, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Purport. In the material world, if a fragment is taken from an original object, the original object is reduced by the removal of that fragment. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not at all affected by the actions of Maya. The Ishopanishad says, Om Purnamadak Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself, because he is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. That's the invocation of Sri Ishopanishad. In the realm of the Absolute, 1 plus 1 equals 1, and 1 minus 1 equals 1. Therefore, one should not conceive of a fragment of the Supreme Lord in the material sense. In the spiritual world, there is no influence of the material energy or material calculations of fragments. In the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that the living entities are his parts and parcels. There are innumerable living entities throughout the material and spiritual universes, but still Lord Krishna is full in himself. To think that God has lost his personality because his many parts and parcels are distributed all over the universe is an illusion. That is a material calculation. That is a material calculation. Such calculations are possible only under the influence of the material energy, Maya. In the spiritual world, the material energy is conspicuous only by its absence. In the category of Vishnu Tattva, there is no loss of power from one expansion to the next, any more than there is a loss of illumination as one candle kindles another. Thousands of candles may be kindled by an original candle, and all will have the same candle power. In this way it is to be understood that although all the Vishnu Tattvas, from Krishna and Lord Chaitanya to Rama, Nishinga, Varaha, and so on, appear with different features in different ages, all are equally invested with supreme potency. Demigods such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva come in contact with the material energy, and their power and potency are therefore of different gradations. All the incarnations of Vishnu, however, are equal in potency, for the influence of Maya cannot even approach them. Text 72. Sri Advaita Prabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu are both plenary portions of Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are the limbs, angas, of his body. The parts of these two limbs are called the upangas. Thus, the Lord is equipped with sharp weapons in the form of his parts and plenary portions. All these weapons are competent enough to crush the faithful atheists. Purport. The word Pashanda is very significant here. One who compares the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the demigods is known as a Pashanda. Pashandas try to bring the Supreme Lord down to a mundane level. Sometimes they create their own imaginary God, or accept an ordinary person as God, and advertise him as equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are so foolish that they present someone as the next incarnation of Lord Chaitanya or Krishna, although his activities are all contradictory to those of a genuine incarnation, and thus they fool the innocent public. One who is intelligent and who studies the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with reference to the Vedic context cannot be bewildered by the Pashandas. Pashandas, or atheists, cannot understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord or transcendental loving service to the Lord. They think that devotional service is no better than ordinary fruitive activities, karma. As the Bhagavad Gita 4.8 confirms, however, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, saving the righteous and chastising the miscreants, paritranayam sadhunam, vinashaya cha duskritam, always curb these nonsensical atheists. Miscreants always want to deny the Supreme Personality of Godhead and put stumbling blocks on the path of devotional service. The Lord sends his bona fide representatives and appears himself to curb this nonsense. Text 74. Sri Nityananda Gosai is directly Haladhara, Lord Balaram, and Advaita Acharya is the personality of Godhead himself. Text 75. These two captains, with their soldiers, such as Srivas Thakur, travel everywhere chanting the holy name of the Lord. 76. Lord Nityananda's very features indicate that he is the subduer of the unbelievers. All sins and unbelievers flee from the loud shouts of Advaita Acharya. 77. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya is the initiator of Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. One who worships him through Sankirtan is fortunate indeed. 78. Such a person is truly intelligent, whereas others, who have but a poor fund of knowledge, must endure the cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the Lord's holy name is the most sublime. Purport. Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the father and inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement. One who worships him by sacrificing his life, money, intelligence, and words for the Sankirtan movement is recognized by the Lord and endowed with his blessings. All others may be said to be foolish, for all sacrifices in which a man may apply his energy, for of all sacrifices in which a man may apply his energy, a sacrifice made for the Sankirtan movement is the most glorious. 79. One who says that 10 million Ashwamedha sacrifices are equal to the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna is undoubtedly an atheist. He is sure to be punished by Yamaraj. Purport. In the list of the 10 kinds of offenses in chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hare Krishna, the 8th offense is Dharma Vrata Tyaga Hutadi Sarva Shubha Kriya Samyam Api Pramadaha. One should never consider the chanting of the holy name of Godhead equal to pious activities like giving charity to brahmanas or saintly persons, opening charitable educational institutions, distributing free food, and so on. The results of pious activities do not equal the results of chanting the holy name of Krishna. The Vedic scriptures say, Go koti danam grahane kagasya, prayaga gango dakakalpa basaha, yagya yutam meru suvarna danam, govinda kirter satamam nasamam chatang sahai. Even if one distributes 10 million cows in charity during an eclipse of the sun, lives at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna for millions of years, or gives a mountain of gold in sacrifice to the brahmanas, he does not earn 1/100th part of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna. In other words, one who accepts the chanting of Hare Krishna is to be some kind of pious activity is completely misled. Of course, it is pious, but the real fact is that Krishna and his name, being transcendental, are far above all mundane pious activity. Pious activity is on the material platform, but chanting of the holy name of Krishna is completely on the spiritual plane. Therefore, although Pashandis do not understand this, pious activity can never compare to the chanting of the holy name. Text 80. In the auspicious introduction to the Bhagavat Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami has given the following verse as an explanation. Antak Krishnam Bahir Gauram Darshitang Gadi Vaibhavam Kalau Sankirtanadhyai Sma Krishna Chaitanyam Ashritaha. I take shelter of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I take shelter of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is outwardly of a fair complexion, but is inwardly Krishna himself. In this age of Kali, he displays his expansions, his angas and upangas, by performing congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami has placed this verse. Srila Jiva Goswami has placed the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, quoted in text 52, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam, as the auspicious introduction to his Bhagavat Sandarbha, or Shat Sandarbha. He has composed this text 81, which is in effect an explanation of the Bhagavatam verse as the second verse of the same work. The verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was enunciated by Karabhajan, one of the 9 great sages, and it is elaborately explained by the Sarva Sangvadani, Jiva Goswami's commentary on his own Shat Sandarbha. Antak Krishna refers to one who is always thinking of Krishna. This attitude is a predominant feature of Srimati Radharani. Even though many devotees always think of Krishna, none can surpass the gopis, among whom Radharani is the leader in thinking of Krishna. Radharani's Krishna consciousness surpasses that of all other devotees. Lord Chaitanya accepted the position of Srimati Radharani to understand Krishna. Therefore, he was always thinking of Krishna in the same way as Radharani. By thinking of Lord Krishna, he always overlapped Krishna. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who was outwardly very fair, with a complexion like molten gold, simultaneously manifested his eternal associates, opulences, expansions, and incarnations. He preached the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and those who are under his lotus feet are glorious. Text 82. In the Upa Puranas, we hear Sri Krishna showing his mercy to Vyasadeva by speaking to him as follows. O learned Brahmana, sometimes I accept the renounced order of life to induce the fallen people of the age of Kali to accept devotional service to the Lord. 84. Srimad Bhagavatam, the Mahabharata, the Puranas, and other Vedic literatures all give evidence to prove that Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Krishna. Text 85. One can also directly see Lord Chaitanya's manifest influence in his uncommon deeds and uncommon Krishna conscious realization. 86. But faithless unbelievers do not see what is clearly evident, just as owls do not see the rays of the sun. 87. O my Lord, those influenced by demoniac principles cannot realize you, although you are clearly the Supreme, by dint of your exalted activities, forms, character, and uncommon power, which are confirmed by all the revealed scriptures in the quality of goodness, and the celebrated transcendentalists in the divine nature. Purport. This is a verse from the Stotra Ratna 12 of Yamunacharya, the spiritual master of Ramanujacharya. The authentic scriptures describe the transcendental activities, features, form, and qualities of Krishna, and Krishna explains himself in the Bhagavad Gita, the most authentic scripture in the world. He is further explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is considered the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra. Lord Krishna is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by these authentic scriptures, not simply by vox populi. In the modern age, a certain class of fools think that they can vote anyone into the position of God, as they can vote a man into the position of a political executive head. But the transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead is perfectly described in the authentic scriptures. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that only fools deride him, thinking that anyone can speak like Krishna. Even according to historical references, Krishna's activities are most uncommon. Krishna has affirmed, I am God, and he has acted accordingly. Mayavadis think that everyone can claim to be God, but that is their illusion, for no one else can perform such extraordinary activities as Krishna. When he was a child on the lap of his mother, he killed the demon Putana. Then he killed the demons Trinavarta, Vatsasura, and Baka. When he was a little more grown up, he killed the demons Agasura and Vrishabhasura. Therefore God is God from the very beginning. the idea that someone can become God by meditation is ridiculous. By hard endeavor, one may realize his godly nature, but he will never become God. The asuras, or demons, who think that anyone can become God, are condemned. The authentic scriptures are compiled by personalities like Vyasadeva, Narada, Asita, and Parashara, who are not ordinary men. All the followers of the Vedic way of life have accepted these famous personalities whose authentic scriptures conform to the Vedic literatures. Nevertheless, the demoniac do not believe their statements, and they purposefully oppose the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. Today it is fashionable for common men to write whimsical words as so-called incarnations of God and be accepted as authentic by other common men. This demoniac mentality is condemned in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, wherein it is said that those who are miscreants and the lowest of mankind, who are fools and asses, cannot accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of their demoniac nature. They are compared to ulukas, or owls, who cannot open their eyes in the sunlight. Because they cannot bear the sunlight, they hide themselves from it and never see it. They cannot believe that there is such illumination. Text 88. Lord Sri Krishna tries to hide himself in various ways, but nevertheless, his pure devotees know him as he is. 89. O my Lord, everything within material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Purport. This verse is also quoted from the Stotra Ratna 13 of Yamunacharya. Everything covered by the influence of Maya is within the limited boundaries of space, time, and thought. Even the greatest manifestation we can conceive, the sky, also has limitations. From the authentic scriptures, however, it is evident that beyond the sky is a covering of 7 layers, each 10 times thicker than the one preceding it. The covering layers are vast, but with or without coverings, space is limited. Our power to think about space and time is also limited. Time is eternal. We may imagine billions and trillions of years, but that will still be an inadequate estimate of the extent of time. Our imperfect senses therefore cannot think of the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, nor can we bring him within the limitations of time or our thinking power. His position is accordingly described by the word ulangita. He is transcendental to space, time, and thought. Although he appears within them, he exists transcendentally. Even when the Lord's transcendental existence is disguised by time, space, and thought, however, pure devotees of the Supreme Lord can see him in his personal features beyond space, time, and thought. In other words, even though the Lord is not visible to the eyes of ordinary men, those who are beyond the covering layers because of their transcendental devotional service can still see him. The sun may appear covered by a cloud, but actually it is the eyes of the tiny people below the cloud that are covered, not the sun. If those tiny people rose above the cloud in an airplane, they could then see the sunshine and the sun without impediment. Similarly, although the covering of Maya is very strong, Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Daivyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tadantite. This difficult energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. To surpass the influence of the illusory energy is very difficult, but those who are determined to catch hold of the lotus feet of the Lord are freed from the clutches of Maya. Therefore, pure devotees can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but demons, because of their miscreant behavior, cannot understand the Lord, in spite of seeing the many revealed scriptures and the uncommon activities of the Lord. Text 90. Those whose nature is demoniac cannot know Krishna at any time, but he cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. Purport. People who develop the nature of asuras, like Ravana and Hiranyakashipu, can never know Krishna, the personality of Godhead, by challenging the authority of Godhead. But Sri Krishna cannot hide himself from his pure devotees. 91. There are two classes of men in the created world. One consists of the demoniac and the other of the godly. The devotees of Lord Vishnu are the godly, whereas those who are just the opposite are called demons. Purport. This is a verse from the Padma Purana. Vishnu Bhaktas, or devotees in Krishna consciousness, are known as devas, demigods. Atheists who do not believe in God or who declare themselves God are asuras, demons. Asuras always engage in atheistic material activities, exploring ways to utilize the resources of matter to enjoy sense gratification. The Vishnu Bhaktas, Krishna conscious devotees, are also active, but their objective is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service. Superficially, both classes may appear to work in the same way, but their purposes are completely opposite because of a difference in consciousness. Asuras work for personal sense gratification, whereas devotees work for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Both work conscientiously, but their motives are different. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant for devas, or devotees. Demons cannot take part in Krishna conscious activities, nor can devotees in Krishna consciousness take part in demoniac activities or work like cats and dogs simply for sense gratification. Such activity does not appeal to those in Krishna consciousness. Devotees accept only the bare necessities of life to keep themselves fit to act in Krishna consciousness. The balance of their energy is used for developing Krishna consciousness, through which one can be transferred to the abode of Krishna by always thinking of him, even at the point of death. Text 92. Advaita Acharya Goswami is an incarnation of the Lord as a devotee. His loud calling was the cause for Krishna's incarnation. 93. Whenever Sri Krishna desires to manifest his incarnation on earth, first he creates the incarnations of his respectable predecessors. 94. Thus, respectable personalities, such as his father, mother, and spiritual master, all take birth on earth first. 95. Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri, Srimati Shachi Mata, and Srila Jagannath Mishra all appeared with Sri Advaita Acharya. Purport. Whenever the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends in his human form, he sends ahead all his devotees who act as his father, teacher, and associates in many roles. Such personalities appear before the descent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Before the appearance of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there appeared his devotees like Sri Madhavendra Puri, his spiritual master Ishwara Puri, his mother Shrimati Shachi Devi, his father Sri Jagannath Mishra, and Sri Advaita Acharya. Text 96. Advaita Acharya having appeared, he found the whole world devoid of devotional service to Sri Krishna because people were engrossed in material affairs. Text 97. Everyone was engaged in material enjoyment, whether sinfully or virtuously. No one was interested in the transcendental service of the Lord, which can give total relief from the repetition of birth and death. Purport. Advaita Acharya saw the entire world to be engaged in activities of material piety and impiety without a trace of devotional service or Krishna consciousness anywhere. The fact is that in this material world there is no scarcity of anything except Krishna consciousness. Material necessities are supplied by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. We sometimes feel scarcity because of our mismanagement, but the real problem is that people are out of touch with Krishna consciousness. Everyone is engaged in material sense gratification, but people have no plan for making an ultimate solution to their real problems, namely birth, disease, old age, and death. These four material miseries are called bhava roga, or material diseases. They can be cured only by Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the greatest benediction for human society. Text 98. Seeing the activities of the world, the Acharya felt compassion and began to ponder how he could act for the people's benefit. Purport. This sort of serious interest in the welfare of the public makes one a bona fide Acharya. An Acharya does not exploit his followers. Since the Acharya is a confidential servitor of the Lord, his heart is always full of compassion for humanity in its suffering. He knows that all suffering is due to the absence of devotional service to the Lord, and therefore he always tries to find ways to change people's activities, making them favorable for the attainment of devotion. That is the qualification of an Acharya. Although Sri Advaita Prabhu himself was powerful enough to do the work, as a submissive servitor, he thought that without the personal appearance of the Lord, no one could improve the fallen condition of society. In the grim clutches of Maya, the first-class prisoners of this material world wrongly think themselves happy because they are rich, powerful, resourceful, and so on. These foolish creatures do not know that they are nothing but play dolls in the hands of material nature, and that at any moment, material nature's pitiless intrigues can crush to dust all their plans for godless activities. Such foolish prisoners cannot see that however they improve their position by artificial means, the calamities of repeated birth, death, disease, and old age are always beyond the jurisdiction of their control. Foolish as they are, they neglect these major problems of life and busy themselves with false things that cannot help them solve their real problems. They know that they do not want to suffer death or the pangs of disease and old age, but under the influence of the illusory energy, they are grossly negligent and therefore do nothing to solve the problems. This is called Maya. People held in the grip of Maya are thrown into oblivion after death, and as a result of their karma, in the next life, they become dogs or gods, although most of them become dogs. To become gods in the next life, they must engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, they are sure to become dogs or hogs in terms of the laws of nature. By the way, in this sentence, the word gods is small. It's not uppercase, it's lowercase. The third-class prisoners, being less materially opulent than the first-class prisoners, endeavor to imitate them, for they also have no information of the real nature of their imprisonment. Thus, they are also misled by the illusory material energy, or nature. The function of the Acharya, however, is to change the activities of both the first-class and third-class prisoners for their real benefit. The function of the Acharya, however, is to change the activities of both the first-class and third-class prisoners for their real benefit. This endeavor makes him a very dear devotee of the Lord, who says clearly in the Bhagavad Gita that no one in human society is dearer to him than a devotee who constantly engages in his service by finding ways to preach the message of Godhead for the real benefit of the world. The so-called Acharyas of the age of Kali are more concerned with exploiting the resources of their followers than mitigating their miseries. But Sri Advaita Prabhu is an ideal Acharya, was concerned with improving the condition of the world situation. So we'll stop here tonight. We're at about 50 minutes of reading. And if there's any glorious reflections, discussion, or questions, now is the time. Hare Krishna. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Oh, for the day. Oh, for the day. They're all stunned. They're all lying on the floor, writhing in ecstasy.
There's something from Gauranga Gopal Das.
Who?
Gauranga Gopal Das.
Haribol Gauranga Gopal, Hare Krishna.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Excuse me. He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for the nice reading. I read in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita that the devotees of Lord Krishna are more kind than the Lord. Lord Chaitanya being the topmost devotee of Krishna, being Krishna himself, and therefore the kindest. Can we therefore say that the devotees of Lord Chaitanya are even more kind than Lord Chaitanya himself? Thank you very much for dissipating the darkness of my ignorance. Your servant, Gauranga.
Well, I think this is a poetic description. The context of that sentence in the 3rd chapter of the Gita is that Lord Krishna is saying in the verse that those who are wise don't disturb those who are under the influence of Maya just because they're ignorant. And in the purport, Krishna says that the devotees of the Lord are more merciful than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. And therefore, they approach these ignorant people, even though they're unfortunate and not very qualified and are not inclined, because they know that Krishna consciousness is not only important, but it's the most important thing and absolutely necessary in human society. So when we hear these words, more kind and this and that, we don't mean to say that, that the devotees are greater than Krishna or greater than Lord Chaitanya. But they become very dear to Lord Chaitanya because they will go so far as to either bend a rule or even go against what the Lord says in order to make him more pleased. Because if they ignore these people and they don't come to Krishna consciousness, then the Lord will be less pleased than if they come to Krishna consciousness after the devotees take the risk and approach them, even though they're ignorant. Risk by risk, I mean, they can be, and they have been, in the history of the world. So many devotees have been damaged, by atheistic people. Haridas Thakur was caned in 22 marketplaces. The Lord Jesus Christ was crucified. So these are sincere devotees of the Lord, and therefore they're considered by the Lord as, better than him. That doesn't mean that they are better than him, but the Lord considers them in that way, and therefore he arranges for them to be glorified. So that's the meaning of that statement of the purport in the third chapter of the Gita. We say every day in Mangalarti, we say, Shakshat Dari Tvaina Samasta Shastrayir Uktastata Bhavyat Evaja Kintu Prabhur Priya Evatasya. The devotees of the Lord are considered to be Sakshat Hari, or as good as the Lord, because they are very dear to the Lord, because they give themselves to the most dear activity of the Lord, and that is preaching Krishna consciousness. And Krishna says it also in the end of the Gita, that anyone who preaches the glories of Bhagavad Gita or explains the Bhagavad Gita to others, they are guaranteed pure devotional service, and no one is more dear to him than them, and never will one be more dear than those who preach Krishna consciousness. So if you want to put it on a kind of a, mechanistic plane, you can say, well, Srila Prabhupada is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya because he spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, where Lord Chaitanya just spread it in India. And you'd be saying the truth, but the devotee of Lord Chaitanya will never say that he's greater than Lord Chaitanya. He will say that Lord Chaitanya is the greatest, and he is just an infinitesimal servant. So these are poetic, licensed statements. Anything more?
Vijay Govinda Prabhu.
Hey Vijay, Haribo, Haribo. We hope you're safe up there in Ireland.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thanks again for a wonderful reading. My question is, when the Lord's associates appear in this world, are covered by Yoga Maya, and consider themselves conditioned souls, or are they aware of their divine nature?
No, they're not aware of their divine nature. But they're so wonderful that they can detect the presence of the Lord even when he tries to cover himself. So even the eternal associates of the Lord, they think of themselves as insignificant. That's the influence of Yogamaya. But they're not under the influence of Mahamaya. So in the Gita, the word Yogamaya is used in that verse, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavritaha. meaning that the Lord, mutoyam nabijanati lokomam ajamavyayam. Krishna says, I reserve the right not to be revealed to the foolish and the ignorant. For them I am covered by my Yogamaya. So that Yogamaya is an expansion of Yogamaya, and it's actually Mahamaya. But the pure devotees are covered in a way that they don't forget Krishna. So much so that when Lord Chaitanya came and tried to cover himself, they could see him for who he is, for who he was. And therefore they glorified him that way, and Lord Chaitanya would put his hands in his ears and run away sometimes, not wanting to be put in the category of Krishna, because he was trying to act like a devotee of Krishna. He was acting like a devotee of Krishna. That was his mission. Anyway, that's common knowledge. Something else? You better hurry, because I've got things to do. I got a really important Zoom call tomorrow that I have to prepare myself for. But I'm here for you, especially Rati. Haribol, Rati.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. Tonight we heard that the chanting of Hare Krishna is much more powerful than the performance of all types of pious activities, and those persons who engage in Sankirtan are considered very fortunate. I have a question related to this. There is a project in Vrindavan which supports abandoned cows, which I am happy to support monthly. I was wondering if you could explain in which category this type of activity falls. Is it a pious activity or is it transcendental?
It's devotional service, because you're taking care of the cows, because the cows are dear to Krishna. If you're in that consciousness. So again, it's not the activity, it's the consciousness. There are people who, protect milk cows because they get milk and make money for them. There's even some big farmers in Europe and America. They're now having problems, of course, because of the pandemic, but in general. So they protect them because they're their life and bread, But the pure devotees, when they do cow protection, although you may say it's an external activity, but still, if you do it for the pleasure of Krishna, because the cows are more dear to Krishna than him himself, and because he protects cows, then it becomes an act of pure devotional service. Anything else?
Vijay Govinda Prabhu wrote something else.
Yes, Vijay.
He says, I really am awestruck with the fact that they accept this condition for the sake of their service to Lord Chaitanya.
Yes. Yes. We should be awestruck. We should be awestruck, and we should try to follow in their footsteps according to our capacity, not try to imitate them. If we try to imitate them, then we'll fall on our face. But if we try according to our capacity sincerely to follow in their footsteps, which means following their instructions, all these great souls, they leave behind their instructions, and if we follow them, then we are nicely situated. And furthermore, Srila Prabhupada's books practically are the essence of the previous acharyas' commentaries. They're all there contained in Prabhupada's purports.
Rati Manjari says thank you.
You're welcome, Rati, you're welcome. All right, so I'm going to stop here a little bit early because, like I said, I have a very important Zoom conference meeting tomorrow, and I have a lot of things to do to prepare for it. So I'd like to thank you all again and again. I don't know what else I can do. I wish I could do more, but this is the most I can do, is to read the Caitanya-caritämrta, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam every day, with the devotees. Give them a chance to hear these books cover to cover, because I know it's more difficult in the Kali Yuga now to read. There's so many things that distract us, and it's hard to sit down in one place and open a book and keep our minds fixed and like that. But this hearing in the association of the devotees is very effective, and I'd like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to perform this devotional service. Hare Krishna. Shri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Samaveda Bhakta Brinda ki jai. We'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, same station. Hare Krishna. See you then.